Unwritten, the past is a corridor. I'm at the exit, looking back through the hall. You are anonymous, I am a concrete.
Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining us for this celebration of the life of Susan Laidley Lello, my wife and best friend for nearly 40 years. Sue was a mother, friend, and teacher, and she was also one of the happiest, bravest people any of us have ever known. Even in the face of her certain death, Sue remained strong in her belief in happiness and in making others around her know that they were loved. And even to the last days of her life, Sue managed to spread happiness and love to others. During today's memorial, with the help of a great friend and neighbor, Tim McDermott, who graciously agreed to be our moderator, we'll be sharing a series of music, readings, poems, thoughts, and a beautiful montage put together by our daughter, Suzanne. But all of this can only begin to scratch the surface of the life of someone whose passing we mourn, but whose contributions of love, happiness, and courage live on. Tim?
Thanks, Tony. And thank you all for being here and for being part of this event. And I'm particularly thankful for the opportunity to MC this evening. And while we're waiting for people to join, just wanted to cover a couple points regarding the Zoom call and how it's going to work. If everyone could please exit out of any other windows or programs you have operating on your computer, that would be appreciated. It just helps the call operate more efficiently. And if you have video available and you can turn on your video, that would be great for later in the during the event. Also, I do have everyone muted, but feel free to mute yourself as well in the lower left corner of the screen. And it would help if you could start the event in speaker view, which you can find in the top right corner of the Zoom screen, and select speaker view so you can see the full screen presentation. So hopefully everyone has a glass of wine or some other suitable beverage for a toast or two. And even more importantly, hopefully people all have some ice cream readily available for later. But for now, keep that ice cream on ice. And after we've given everyone a couple more minutes to make sure they can join, we'll get started with the main event. Thank you all very much again for being here.
Thanks, Tim. We're going to kick things off with a Papa Tony rendition of a Sarah Bareilles song that many of you have heard of or are familiar with. I'd like to start out with an apology to Sarah for the liberties I took in my interpretation of her lyrics. And everyone, you may want to grab some cotton for your ears, or maybe turn your computer sound way down as you listen to how I mangle what otherwise would have been a pretty lovely song. When I used to sing along to the songs on radio, Sue never told me that I wasn't a good singer, but she would look at me and ask me to turn the radio volume up. And well, that said plenty. So honey, here I am one more time. I just had to do this. I love you.
to say most days I don't recognize me, my wife and my family and all that we've been through. It's changed the reflection I see. There's something they say that I'm not anything like I used to be, although it's true. Don't remember who I was before this, but I will remember that girl. She was lovely, and my bride was so strong as she tried. She was hard on herself. She was broken but wouldn't ask for help. She was happy and so kind. She was lonely most of the time. She was all of this mixed up and baked in a beautiful pie. She's gone, but she used to be mine. It's not what I asked for. Sometimes life just slips in through a back door and changes you, makes your life different. I believe that it's true. And now my life's new. That's not what I asked for. If I'm honest, I know I would give it all back for a chance to start over and rewrite an ending or two. For the girl that I knew who was strong more than most, who got scared, but who learned how to fight back, who cried by herself as she sat in this house. And then she got strong, woken up by the life left inside her, growing stronger each day until she decided to fight for her family and brought back the fire in her eyes. That's now gone, but she used to be mine. Used to be mine. She was happy and so kind. She was lonely most of the time. She was all of this mixed up and baked in a beautiful pie. She is gone, but you'll always be mine.
Oops. Hey, Tim,
Yes,
I'm probably supposed to be doing something right now. Apologies.
that's okay.
All right. Okay, I think we're there. Okay, thank you, Tony. That was an amazing song. And now we'll have a chance to hear some remembrances from some of Sue's family and friends. And we'll start with Sue's big sister, Kim Janis.
That was beautiful, Tony. Thank you. I have a lot of memories of Sue. Most of you knew her when she was an adult. So I'd like to share some memories of her when she was a child. We were only a year apart, so we shared a lot of experiences together. We shared the same room the whole time we were growing up, and we did everything together when we were little. Sue was a tomboy. When she was young, she would rather climb trees and play with GI Joes than play with Barbies. She was always in motion. She was just always moving, always going, and she was fearless. She couldn't have been more than 4 maybe when she decided that she wanted to fly. So she climbed up on our dresser in our bedroom and tried to jump to the bed. She didn't make it, and that's why she has that scar on her eyebrow. When we were young, our grandparents had a summer house on Lake Geneva, and we'd spend summers with them along with my aunt and uncle and cousin. And they had a subdivision lakefront pier with a high dive on it. And Sue would go up on that high dive and she would do backflips and doubles, swan dives, 1.5s. I mean, she did everything with no fear. And I remember watching her and going, wow, she is so good. She could be in the Olympics. And it was just amazing that she did that without any fear. She also had no fear of skiing. We would ski in the winter, and she was really good because she didn't fear anything. And one time, she had a broken collarbone, not from skiing, but from something else. And my parents told her she couldn't ski. Well, nobody was going to tell Sue anything. They weren't going to tell her she couldn't do anything. So she had her arm immobilized in a sling, but she went skiing, and we saw her flying down the hill with her empty coat sleeve flying in behind her, flapping behind her with this big grin on her face and that look in her eye that said, I'm doing this. I'm just doing this. She also loved singing. At Sing Cottage, in the afternoons on Saturday, we would all be out on the patio and my dad would get his guitar out and we'd all sing songs. And my brothers won't admit it, but they did too. And it was just a very happy time. My dad taught Sue and I how to harmonize to the song Yellowbird. And we would go home to Beverly during the week and we would practice that song, practice our harmony so that we'd be good enough on Saturday afternoons to sing it in front of the rest of the family. She just loved music. When we were in high school, she was no longer a tomboy. She was a cute girl, really cute. And she just loved parties and going to dances, and she still loved music. And later in high school, we were supposed to be figuring out what we wanted to do with our life. And Sue said the only thing she wanted to do was be a mom and a wife. That's all she wanted. She wanted to just be married and be a mom and have as many kids as she could, even a dozen if she could. Well, a few years later, she met Tony, fell in love. They got married and had 4 beautiful children, and her dream came true. After she was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, we would go out and go to lunch or shopping, and people that she would meet, she would tell them that they were doing a good job, or they had a beautiful smile, or that they were very pretty. And she told me she just wanted to make them happy. She was that kind of person, that she was just a very giving, nurturing person that just wanted to make people happy. A couple months ago, when we had to do our work from home, I set up my desk in front of a window looking out to my backyard. And the first day I sat down to work, I looked out my window, and in the tree nearby was a yellowbird. And I swear this was true. And I knew that Sue was telling me that she was okay, and she was in heaven. She was happy, surrounded by people that loved her, and she was probably singing. She was a great person, and I'll love her forever. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim. Next, we'll hear from Sue's younger sister, Laura Wall, who will share her thoughts with us. Laura.
Unmute.
Laura, can you unmute?
Sorry about that. Hi, everybody. So I'm Laura. I'm Sue's youngest sister. Sue and I are 8 years apart. And so I don't remember a lot of Sue when she was really little. My memories probably start when I was about 8, maybe 10. She came home from UW La Crosse after deciding she didn't want to go there anymore. And my parents tried to get her to go back, but she wasn't having any of it. And so Sue always kind of, once she made up her mind, she was going to do what she decided. Sue, I idolized Sue. Sue was cool. Sue was fun, like fun all the time. And she just, there was no stopping her. She was so great, just so great. She was fun all the time, laughing. My dad would send her to her room from the kitchen table because we wouldn't be able to stop laughing at something during dinner. And we get in trouble for laughing too much, believe it or not. And she continued that all the way through. She always had a smile. She always laughed. She was always happy. She was happy with her life. She was happy with her kids. And she was great. She lived in a magical world when we were little. She believed anything was possible. And she passed that on to her kids, and it's obvious her family is amazing and they're magical. I'm proud of her. I wish she was here, but I know she can see us, and I know she's all around us. I know she's with my dad, who absolutely adored her, although he was flabbergasted with her most of the time. But he encouraged her to do what she wanted to do. He encouraged her to be herself. And she did that for other people too. I loved her. I idolized her. She was Top Gun, cool, wear your aviator sunglasses. And that's the image I will always have of Sue. She was hot and she was great. I miss her. I love her. I love her family. And I'm just so proud of her and all of you.
Thank you, Laura. Now we'll move to Tony's side of the family with his two big sisters, starting with Denise Lello.
Hi, everybody.
Can you come back?
In her 1975 novel, The Living, Annie Dillard famously asserts, quote, "How we spend our days is, of course, how we spend our lives. What we do with this hour and that one is what we are doing," end quote. Susan Laidley Lello dedicated the hours and days of her life to children, who she loved more than anything in the world. Curiosity, especially about the natural world, and championing the aspirations of those who faced obstacles or struggles. Her days were spent encouraging, nurturing, supporting, and demanding, whether it was her children, her many students, or her husband. We make sense of this world by synthesizing stories that we record in our memories. My understanding of who each of you are and how you impacted Sue's life is based in part on the stories and memories that Sue would share during my visits, often stories about her early life. These early life stories form the weft within which we weave later stories to create an integrated tapestry that is our understanding of ourselves and the world. The stories Sue told would change depending on the state of her mood. And she taught me that it is only by hearing stories many times from many perspectives that you begin to home in on the reality for that person. Sue's reality changed as her memory changed over the course of her illness. My own reality with Sue began when she was just 21 years old. When Tony told me stories about her impulse to rescue injured or seemingly lost animals, I knew Sue and I had a lot in common. Over the years, I watched her navigate life with her growing family to become an accomplished professional, doing what came so naturally to her, teaching children. As Sue lost her ability to speak due to her illness, I always marveled that in certain situations, her voice was liberated and she could speak freely. Being around children was one of those circumstances. Sentences like, "Here, sweetie, do you want to see something really cool?" would issue fluidly as she knelt to greet a child. Somehow her connection to children overrode whatever neural circuit interruption made it so hard for her to access speech for the rest of us. Anger provided another bypass to free her speech, as did music. So singing old 60s and 70s pop songs became a favorite pastime on car trips. Images in our memories corroborate the stories that tell us who a person is. My images of Sue are of her eyes shining with shared glee at a child's surprise or accomplishment, her brow furrowed with angst over a child's struggle, her voice rising above the track meet crowd's roar to shriek encouragement to Susie, looking radiantly beautiful and ready to party and dance before a night out with Tony, performing her famous eye roll at one of Tony's demands that she thought was hogwash, her astonishment and delight at seeing beautiful insects or birds or flowers. My image portfolio of her children and my brother Tony also deepened as I watched them share Sue's struggles and try to maintain their understanding of who Sue was, even as parts of her seemed to disappear. Rereading some of Tony's emails that he wrote after their first visits to Mayo Clinic in 2012 brought back the hope that both of them tried to keep alive for as long as they could. Over the almost 8 years of Sue's illness, we all watched Sue's response change from hope to fear to despair to anger to resignation over and over again and in no predictable order. In spite of all our efforts, Sue entered this dark, dark tunnel with only one exit. Her sense of isolation, especially as she lost her language, must have been terrible. Yet she and Tony did their best to support each other and find joy in each day and to continue to participate in their children's lives as they navigated young adulthood. At the end of particularly trying days, Sue would stand quietly near the kitchen counter, anticipating Tony's winking, "Too bad you're too full for ice cream tonight." And ice cream, or more precisely frozen custard, became one of Tony's culinary quests. Last summer, the three of us trekked up to Milwaukee to the geodesic domes, and due to a variety of circumstances, arrived about 15 minutes before closing. Tony sweet-talked the attendant into letting us in for a short visit. We assumed that there would be an announcement before closing, but about 45 minutes later, after enjoying walking through the conservatory rooms, we realized we were locked in. We wandered around looking for unlocked service entrances through which we could exit or guards who might help us, and finally found a phone number to call. This resulted in a rather amusing interaction involving miscommunication among local police and sheriffs and fire officials, with fire engines, sirens blaring and lights flashing, disgorging fully suited firemen with axes, and requiring many repeated explanations as additional emergency responders arrived. This was all a bit upsetting to Sue, and so we followed it up with a trip for frozen custard. Of course, we couldn't just find the closest frozen custard shop. We had to consult the list of the top 10 custard shops in the Milwaukee area, read through all the reviews, eliminate the ones that Sue and Tony had already tried, and then drive the 45 minutes to the chosen spot. Was it Cops? It was good. Tony managed to keep himself engaged in life, including his children's transitions to independence, even though he totally dedicated himself to Sue's care and happiness. And I want to acknowledge Tony for his extraordinary humanity and suffering and love and loss. Though we're remembering Sue's extraordinary life and goodness, we're also hoping that sharing our thoughts and memories will help us heal our broken hearts that have been breaking for 8 years, especially those of her immediate family, the children to whom Sue devoted most of her adult life, who've lost the mother with whom they hope to share their chosen lives and partners, and in some cases, their own children, and Tony, who's lost his life partner. John O'Donoghue's poem For Grief captures the long process. I'll read it. For Grief by John Donahue. When you lose someone you love, your life becomes strange. The ground beneath you becomes fragile. Your thoughts make your eyes unsure, and some dead echo drags your voices down, where words have no confidence. Your heart has grown heavy with loss, and though this loss has wounded others too, no one knows what has been taken from you when the silence of absence deepens. Flickers of guilt kindle regret for all that was left unsaid or undone. There are days when you wake up happy, again inside the fullness of life, until the moment breaks and you're thrown back onto the black tide of loss. Days when you have your heart back, you're able to function well, until in the middle of work or encounter, suddenly with no warning, you are ambushed by grief. It becomes hard to trust yourself. All you can depend on now is that sorrow will remain faithful to itself. More than you, it knows its way and will find the right time to pull and pull the rope of grief until the coiled hill of tears has reduced to its last drop. Gradually, you will learn from acquaintance with the invisible form of your departed. And when the work of grief is done, the wound of loss will heal, and you will have learned to wean your eyes from that gap of air and be able to enter the hearth in your soul, where your loved one has awaited your return all the time. Thank you.
Thank you, Denise. That was a great tribute and a wonderful poem. And now we'll hear from Tony's other sister, Hannah Heeman.
I'm not muted now.
You're unmuted.
Okay, well, I'm the oldest of the three of us. And of course, the oldest sibling is the rule follower. And Tony said each family had 4 minutes. So I narrowed mine down to 3, and I gave one of my minutes to my daughter, Katie, who was Sue's godchild. So, Denise, no, it was beautiful. All right, so I'm just going to share a few of my fondest memories. I'm glad everybody else is crying too, because I don't know if I can do this, but here we go.
Just do it.
When the Lello children were young, I would meet Sue in Dixon, Illinois, to pick up Andrew, David, Danny, and Susie for a week at summer camp at our house in the woods of Turkey Creek. Sue would drive the 2 hours from Mount Prospect, and I would drive 2 hours from Iowa City. We would meet at the McDonald's in Dixon, and I would take the kids, and Sue looked like she could use a break from her 4 little children. So we did this for several summers for a week at a time. Sue seemed a little reluctant to let them go, but sort of looked forward to having a break. The 4 Lello children and the 3 Heeman cousins tented outside or slept on sleeping bags on our living room floor, talking well into the night for a week. My children, who were the older cousins, and Wayne, did a great job entertaining the younger Lello cousins, while I did the chauffeuring, laundry, cooking. And when I met Sue a week later, she was glad to be reunited with her darlings again. She looked a bit more relaxed and well-rested, while I was glad to relinquish the responsibility of caring for those 4 extra children. Sue was always a terrific and fun-loving mother. She innately knew the importance of play and creativity for her children. Even when Sue was well into her years of Alzheimer's, her eyes always lit up when children were around. And our grandchildren just loved her.
Go ahead.
She seemed to have a special bond with my husband, Wayne. They spent extra time together when Wayne put the upstairs addition on their house, staying on Pine Street for a week at a time. And in Sue's last few years, whenever we visited Pine Street, Sue told Wayne she wanted to come to Iowa and stay at our house for a while. I think Sue remembered Sue's family and mine going to Wilson's Orchard near our house during the colorful season of fall. We'd pick apples, we'd eat apples, and we took some wonderful family photos. Fast forward to several wonderful family Thanksgivings in a rental house on one of the Great Lakes that had been carefully researched by Tony. Cousins and siblings reconnected and bonded. These events always centered around food, often made now by the adult children. David Lello masterminded a spreadsheet so everyone would know their food and meal responsibilities. Sue was always eager to help and always game to try new foods. On occasion, Sue really liked the Japanese fare made by Brian and Sayuri. I remember being a bit surprised and even delighted when Sue even requested seconds of their delicious salad rolls. Another memory I will always cherish is watching Sue eat her favorite breakfast at the Jelly Cafe near their house. Tony was always so sweet, cutting up her pecan waffles for her. During our visit on December 19th this last year, she ate her entire waffle all by herself. Her appetite was good, and she smiled a lot. She was one of the sweetest, kindest persons I've ever known. The world was blessed to have her in it. And now I think my daughter Katie is going to say a few words. Sue was Katie's godmother. So now Katie's going to speak for a few minutes.
Okay. Stop that. Huggy's been reading really well. I should have had him read this for me. Sue has always genuinely cared for and loved children and animals. One of the ways Sue will live on is through the birds, whom she loved and could mimic so well. I was reading this to Brandon, and he said, some people aren't going to know what you mean by mimic. So she would get down to the kids' level, and she would do this tweet. Oh, she could do it so well. And the kids just loved it. She also made sure to keep herself active, something that has inspired me since I can remember. She would run down Turkey Creek Road while visiting Iowa, or she would work out in her living room with her hand weights. Those are two distinct memories I have. I was lucky to have Sue as a role model in my life. We were fortunate to have Sue be a part of our wedding 11 years ago by reading the Irish wedding blessing. Okay. This is about the kids. Augie loved having Sue watch he and his brother Troy help Tony build a tower in the Lello living room. He also really enjoyed his interactions while entertaining Sue and others wherever they were. We loved seeing her smile and laugh. Something that will be deeply missed.
Mom, don't try.
Thank you, Tony, Andrew, David, Danny, and Susie.
Don't try, Mom.
For the updates, the pictures, the videos, and the love you showed and shared.
Mom, stop trying. Stop, Mom.
Okay. This is my pre-recorded talk about Sue. It can start now. I have a little intro explaining what I'm doing here. But I love Sue very much and have had her part of my life for a long time. I feel like I'm a sister to her. Matter of fact, we were often asked if we were sisters when we'd be together. And I hope you enjoy the poem. We've all been blessed to have Sue in our lives. She was a joy, a spark of light in our world. When we were growing up in Beverly, Mary, Lori, Sue, and I spent a great deal of time during our grammar school and high school years walking through the neighborhood or hanging out, having fun, with lots of general silliness and laughter, something I think we all shared with Sue. We'd have long talks about our hopes and dreams, love, family. We were trying to figure out life. We listened and supported each other, helped each other get through the tough times. One day I remember we were sitting in Sue's dining room after school doing our homework. We were about 16 years old. And we were talking about death and dying and how people deal with the loss of someone that they love. She headed off to the living room for a while, and when she returned, she handed me a sheet of paper. And she said, "It's a poem, and I want you to read it at my funeral." I remember thinking, this is crazy. She isn't going anywhere soon. And I remember saying, how do you even know I'm going to be around? I might go first. And she looked me straight in the eye and said, "No, you're going to be around, and I want you to read it. You have to swear to me that you're going to read it at my funeral." And I swore to Sue that I would do just that. And I put it in an old shoebox at home that night. Several times over the last few years, Susan gave us scares, and we worried we were going to lose her. And I remembered my promise, and I went through my boxes to make sure I still had Sue's poem. Last year, when I was doing just that, I decided I better put it in a safer place where I could find it when I needed it. And then about 6 months ago, I started to look for the poem again. I went back up to those boxes, and it wasn't there. And I remembered I had moved it to a safer place, but I couldn't remember where I had put it. I went through every piece of paper and every box, desk drawer, closet, and cubby. I dug for it for a week straight until finally one day I accidentally came upon it on this single piece of paper worn over the decades. And I yelled to Ray. I was so excited, and I wanted to read the poem to him. And I couldn't get through the first line without crying. It's not that it's a sad poem, it's sweet. It's not a complex work of art. It's simple, but it's Sue's words as a young woman. As she wrote the words, she wasn't thinking of herself. She had us in mind, all of us. She was thinking of those she loved. She shared herself with us. She left a mark on our hearts that will always be there and never be replaced. With all of Sue's hopes and dreams as a young woman, those were fulfilled 100-fold through her friends and her family, especially her children. Her children are the center of her universe and her true passion. I look at pictures of Zaylee and Charlie and think of the pure joy that Susie and Andrew are experiencing, to see Dan thrive in his nursing program, or to simply hear David's sweet, compassionate voice on the phone. I cannot help but well up, thinking of the complete happiness Susan is experiencing now that she is whole again. She is smiling down on all of you. Her children are the world to her, and she will never be far away. I'm thankful for every minute I shared with Sue and you, the special people she loved. Here's Sue's poem. Goodbye, My Friends, by Susan Laidley Lello. Just say goodbye and shed no tears, for we've been friends through all these years. We've rode the bikes and strolled the walks. We've laughed and cried and shared our talks. We'd smile and then say hello, and then we'd part and off we'd go. But now, my friends, it's time to go. So leave me now beneath the ground with all the peace and rest I've found. For in my heart you'll always stay, and I will never let you stray. So off with you to new friends meet. The times we've had can't be beat. Just say goodbye and shed.
It looks like the last couple words got cut off, but for we've been friends through all these years was the conclusion there. Thank you so much, Christy.
And now Sue's girlfriend and next door neighbor for the last 30 years, Lorelei McDermott, will share her remembrance with us.
I'm happy to have this opportunity to talk about my girlfriend, Sue. Thank you, Lello family. I met Sue when she was a 30-year-old young mother of 3, and I was the mother of a 3-week-old. From our vantage point right next door to each other, we shared a lifetime together. One 30-year-long conversation. Before I tell you what we talked about, I'll tell you what we didn't talk about. Sue was not a gossip. She did not complain. She was not a worrier, unless there was a thunderstorm or an airplane ride. Sue did not talk about restaurants or fashion or vacations. I don't remember even once getting a babysitter so we could slip away. Sue didn't want to slip away. She wanted to live in the middle of the chaos, in the middle of the big family which she had so longed for, with sticky fingers and pets galore and a crazy tall swing set and praying mantises. Mostly, we talked about 3 things for 30 years: our children, our husbands, and dinner. Andrew, David, Danny, Megan, Bridget, Susie, and Jack. The conversation went in an endless loop through our children. Sue had profound insight into children. She loved all children. She loved cuddly infants and giggling toddlers, but even more so, emerging preteens and mysterious young adults. Are they hungry, angry, lonely, tired? Sue was always up for the conversation. Compassionate and supportive, Sue found joy in every aspect of parenting and teaching and mentoring. But of course, the children she loved most of all. Andrew, my genius. David, my guy. Danny, my lovey. Susie, my girl. You four were her everything. Sue and I talked a lot about our husbands. Sue and Tim were chill, and Tony and I were, let's just say our personalities are not chill. Our opposites gave us perspective and made for an endless topic of conversation, being wives to good men. And dinner. I'd call from my back door, "What's for dinner?" Sue would say, "Baked mastacholi." "Oh, good one. I think we'll have spaghetti." The next day, Sue would call over, "What are you making for dinner?" "Chicken." "Oh, good idea. I'll make chicken pot pie." An endless topic. My Wednesdays with Sue will be counted as a profound joy in my life. You hear that illness strips people to their core, and clearly the core of Sue was pure goodness. I used to find myself pulling the car over to write down things Sue said, like, "I don't have a lot of time, but I am having fun." And "It's nice to make someone feel good." And on a more serious day, "Many parts are laughing, so you can't go crying." That's what I want. My kids to love each other, and they do, to talk to each other, to help each other. We are all together. You can't imagine how my family takes care of me. They are with me always. It's true, I got so lucky. May we all be so blessed to be able to say at the end of our lives, "I'm having fun, and I got so lucky." I will miss seeing Sue's eyes light up when I call out, "Hey, girlfriend." But I know I will see her again, and in the meantime, I can hear her voice. Girlfriends are important and necessary. Make them, keep them, look for them right next door. Thank you. Love you, Sue.
Thank you, Lorelei. And now we'll hear from Sue's children, starting with her oldest son, Andrew.
I have always been a story lover, a story seeker, a story keeper and teller. My mom gave me life, and she also gave me stories. She gave them to you too. Happy stories and sad stories. My story is her story because all stories are really one story. Her story is beautiful to me because it is about love. The marriage of love and beauty is as timeless and as deathless as stories themselves. It's no accident that I say marriage because while I could talk forever about my mom's beautiful love for me, I have just moments and I need to say something about my mom's love for my dad and his for her. In romance, there is quiet love and there is loud love. When I was just a young tree frog, I saw only the quiet kind between my parents and worried and wondered what might be missing. But I have learned to listen. Weak love is fragile, and Alzheimer's is a breaker of fragile things. When my mom's story got difficult, my dad did not shatter or go away inside or hide from it. Instead, he loved her. Loudly and quietly, completely and undeniably. I want to love the way my dad loves. I think we all want that because we use stories about the best of us to be better ourselves. My mom's story is his story, is my story, is our story. All stories are one story. My mom will never know my daughter, but not so very long ago, her days were spent as mine are now, nose to nose with and neck deep in parenthood. Finding poop in all the places where it probably shouldn't be. I can remember being very young and seeing my mom crying and asking her why she was crying. And she said, sometimes being happy makes you cry. And I know what that feels like now. My experiences being a parent and my mom's experiences are separated by decades, but we share them nonetheless. My mom will never know my daughter, but it very much feels like she looks out from my eyes into Charlie's, smiles with my lips, and laughs with my happy heart. This story is our story, and it's your story too. To be human is to bear witness to a story's ending, but feel it echo into one newly begun. To be human is to miss someone only to realize that they are with you after all. My mom's story is about life. Alzheimer's stole her identity, her autonomy, her dreams for her future, and left her with a barren, wordless, disoriented exile whose surrender she still fought to the very end, not because she feared death, but because even in her story's gloom, there were rainbows. Walks on sunlit sidewalks, falling rain and leaves and flower petals, the warmth of a fire, a dog, strong arms folded tightly around her, and laughter. All stories are one story. And my mom's story was you who knew her, know her, loved her and love her. Love yourselves and each other, loudly and quietly, deeply and beautifully. I am very proud to share her stories with you. Thank you.
Thanks, Andrew. And now we'll hear from Sue's son, David. David, are you muted?
Yeah, I was muted. I was giving myself a second. Andrew, you're just really good at this stuff. So I love you and thank you for those words. It was awesome. I'm looking forward to watching that back again. All right, I'm here. I'm David, child number 2. And as I sat down and began listing the things that I wanted to say about my mom tonight over the last few weeks, the qualities that I looked up to, the stories that I wanted to tell, I quickly realized how hard it was going to be to distill down to just a few minutes what I wanted to say. And fortunately, we're going to have a memorial archive that we will allow people to be uploading some videos with additional stories to and whatnot. And so I'm looking forward to adding my own stories and memories to that. So for tonight, I thought that I would do something just a little bit different for this memorial. One thing that I've come to appreciate more and more about my mom as I've gotten older is is the fact that, like me, my mom was a little bit into what these days we like to call the woo-woo. For example, as a kid, I remember my big soccer game days. My dad would be helping me to lace up my cleats. My dad, or Sarah B, as we call him these days. And my mom would be right there next to me saying things like, "David, you've got this. Just visualize yourself scoring a goal right now. If you see it happening in your mind, then it will." And obviously this got kind of giant eye rolls for me as a kid. But those eye rolls kind of transitioned into a little bit more curiosity in my early adulthood. And I guess now I'm all about it. So with that said, in honor of my mom, I thought we'd do just a brief exercise in that somewhat esoteric realm, if you're all okay with it. Is anyone opposed? I guess this is where I'm glad that everyone's muted. All right. So with that said, if everyone can start by closing your eyes, settle into your chairs. I'll wait. I can see you all. I'm going to wait until I see eyes closed. Danny, that includes you. Thank you. All right, and you can keep your eyes closed until I tell you to reopen them. I know how hard it can be to take your eyes off my new luscious long hair. Okay, so with your eyes closed, allow yourself to relax. Like I said, a little bit more into your chairs. Everyone take a big breath in and a slow breath out. Notice any areas in your body where you might be still a little bit tense. Let your eyes soften, relax your jaw, the muscles of your neck and your shoulders to disengage, and just breathe. A couple of weeks ago, my dad was telling me about our childhood vacations and how whenever he would ask my mom where she wanted to go, her answer was always the same. She just wanted to go up to a house in Wisconsin on a lake with a boat. She just loved so much when things were calm and peaceful. And she just wanted to be in such a place with the people that she loved. On some level, I'd like to believe that we can all be with her in a similar place right here and right now. So if you can all please bring an image of my mom to the forefront of your mind. Try to feel that feeling of warmth and of peace that she brought to us all every day. Allow that feeling to wash over you, envelop you, and to further connect you with my mom, with me, and with everyone here listening in. And keeping that feeling of comfort, that sensation of gentle but intense love, just be here with her, holding her image or a specific memory in your mind. You can go ahead and slowly open your eyes. As we all know, my mom was just so freaking good at cultivating and spreading that type of joy and that type of love, those feelings, that sense of well-being to everyone in your life. And I really believe there's no reason that has to stop now. have so much gratitude that at any moment, at any time, we can all use that image or those memories of her to bring us to such a place. And yeah, Mom, I just love you now and always. And thank you.
Thanks, David, for that tribute and for that opportunity for all of us to connect so closely with your mom. That was great. Next, we'll hear from Sue's youngest son, Danny.
Well, I probably would have benefited a lot more from that exercise, David, if I had planned out what I was going to say in advance. I was heart beating fast during that moment, trying to figure out what I was going to say. When this Zoom started, I pulled out a piece of paper and I thought I was going to be able to capture some stories, some things that would inform my speech. The first thing that I wrote down was, now I know why my siblings and I have broken so many bones. My friends usually tease me about having brittle bones, but I think it's just because I got from my mom that sense of adventure. To be totally honest, I am still processing, as I'm sure all of us are, what happens. This year has been totally out of whack, both with not being able to physically be in the space that she lived. Many of you know that as adventurous of a person as she was, she really didn't like to leave. And to be sure, I'm so happy that she left when she did, because she would not want to have lived through this year. She would have hated being trapped in the house. She probably would have hated my dad. She would not have been a happy person, and I'm very happy that she is able to finally rest now. I talked to Susie before the Zoom over text about how it felt to me that we were planning a funeral for someone who I didn't know, because I spent so much time with her after her diagnosis that the mom that I came to know and love and have inside jokes with, and who became my best friend, was my mom with Alzheimer's. And I never saw her existence as being one that was in exile or barren. If you spent time with her, even in the last year of her life, she was able to find and give so much joy and laughter. And though her words did often fail her, the bond that we formed, I feel that we were always able to understand each other and communicate. While the time that we shared was simple, whether it was going to Goodwill or the animal shelters or Marshall's or just sitting on the couch and saying nothing, that time profoundly affected my life and how I see the world and the path that I chose. I'm so grateful to her for giving me that time and for the time that I had with her. I'm comforted to know that the mom that I know isn't much different from the mom and Sue that all of you know from every part of her life. Lorelei, when you said that, well, I can't remember it now, but it was something to do about someone's illness, stripping a person to their core. She was never lost. She was always partly there. I love her. I'm going to continue to remember her, and thank you all for being here.
Love you,
Thanks,
Dan.
Danny. That was amazing. And now we'll go to Sue's daughter and namesake, Susie.
Okay. I have like a snot bubble come out of my nose. I don't really know what it is that I wrote, but I'll try to get through it. When I was little, I remember sitting on her bed and crying to her. I was scared. I was scared that she was going to die. At that point in my life, I had no reason to think she was going to die. Maybe I had just learned about death. I don't know. But I remember so clearly being scared of a world without her in it. I was scared of a lot of things as a little kid, probably because of the ghost stories that both my dad and brothers told me. And I slept in my parents' room because of that until I was way too old to sleep in my parents' room. When I was scared at night, my mom would tell me to close my eyes and imagine something beautiful. And think of that until I fell asleep. Like David mentioned, she used this often in our talks. Before soccer games, if I was nervous or feeling a lot of pressure, she would sit with me and tell me to close my eyes and envision myself dribbling down the field, duking players out and finishing with a goal. We would sit on her bed with our eyes closed, as she told me if I could see it in my head, it could be true, that I was capable of all the things I wanted to be capable of, if only I thought it into existence. All I had to do was close my eyes and imagine that beautiful thing. Now that I'm older, I know everyone dies, and it's felt like she's been dying for a decade, slowly evaporating from our lives little by little. It seemed like a sick joke as my childhood fears were coming full circle in the most torturous way. Through it all, though, her motherly instinct remained. Even in her worst days, she would so clearly try to comfort me and embrace me if she saw me crying. A lot of the time, I felt bitter toward the world for taking my mom away from me. While at the same time taunting me with her body right in front of me. But in the moments when I really needed her, when all you need is your mom's arms around you, she somehow still continued to show up. I think this is what I miss most. I miss her arms, her hugs, and feeling my head fit perfectly into her neck, as a child's always does into their parents. I was made from her body, and what I once thought of being torturous, with her body still being hurt here, but her mind being gone. I now know was a gift to continue to see her, to touch her, and to hear her. And now I know I can and do continue to see her, to feel her, and to touch her all around me, everywhere. Now she is clear, she is perfect, and she is my mom exactly as she is supposed to be. I can see her mischievous smile through my own expressions as I grab a piece of candy that I know I shouldn't. I can feel her embrace when I hold my own daughter in my arms, and she fits into my neck the same way I did into my mom's. I see her in the birds and flowers as they sway in the wind. I see her as little squirrels with stumpy tails scurry through the backyards, knowing she'd give them a name and talk to them kindly if she saw them again. I hear her in the rain that she always found beautiful and soothing. I feel her when I pass a pet store and remember our 2 pet birds she accidentally set loose in our backyard. I see her in a friendly wave from a stranger to stranger walking down the street. I feel her through Andrew's heart, in David's mind, in Danny's soul. They are all part of her. And when my brothers embrace me, I feel her arms around me. When I laugh so hard my stomach hurts, she is here right next to me, still laughing with me. I have her all around me. So yes, I can find her anywhere, even in the darkest of nights, when the silence is deafening, I can find her. All I have to do is close my eyes and imagine something beautiful. I love you, and I miss you, Mom, and I will laugh with you always. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you, Susie. That was really beautiful. And it's really wonderful to think of Sue, your mom, being with you in all those ways and with all of us. And now appropriately, our last remembrance will come from Sue's husband of 38 years and her best friend, Tony.
Well, Lorelei, I think it was you who predicted that would be a wet mess, I think you said, by this time. And I'm every bit of that. But I'm going to try to get through this for my wife. Okay. Dear Sue, I started missing you years ago as you ever so slowly slipped away from me. But for years, you stayed with us, showing us your courage and your strength, your ability to laugh and be happy. In fact, to make others happy. And that revealed who you really were. I will miss everything about you, my love. With memories that go back to a time when you and I started, before there were 6 of us. And memories that end where I choose. Our Christmas with a laughing, happy you and all of us this past December. I will miss your shyness, your smiles and your laugh, your determination to make our family strong. I will miss your uncanny ability to decorate, to make our house a home so inviting, warm and friendly, a place where people loved to come and stay. I will miss our conversations at night, even on nights when we needed to be up early for work and we would talk and laugh way too late. I will miss your ability to laugh and see humor in the face of difficulty, the way many people cannot. I will miss you at our family meals and how you reveled in us being together, just being together. Our usually awesome food, that was really just a bonus, because what really mattered was being together. I'll miss how you never wanted to buy things for yourself, but were always willing to spend money on others. I miss the ease with which you gave nicknames to people and pets, and how your names evolved. Our boxer dog, Spike, Spike, Spikester, Shadow, Shadow Master, Shaddy. I miss how you sifted through the food you were eating with your teeth, and how you could find the tiniest foreign or otherwise unacceptable bits or pieces and surreptitiously spit them daintily into your napkin. I miss how you used to push food onto my plate off of yours after you had eaten your fill, never asking me if it was okay, but somehow knowing that it was. I miss your unconditional and boundless love of our children, seeing each of them as an individual and very special. I miss the special love that you had for and shared with each of them, as if each of them was your only child. I even miss you calling me an idiot when I acted like one, and pointing out to our children what it looked like when someone acted stupidly. I miss going to movies or watching a movie at home with you, and our sometimes overlong conversations about the ones that we liked and disliked. I miss your love of our home and our neighbors, and how thanks to you, our little house was the perfect place to raise our family. I miss that you always knew that motherhood could be its own vocation, and it was your greatest calling, and that you would have had even more children and still loved them all and would have made each of them feel like an only child. I miss you being somewhat upset that you wanted more children of your own once your first granddaughter was born. You so wanted another baby. You were 60 then, and in the advanced stage of your illness. I miss your fierce determination to go back to school as a mom, and your natural talent to be a wonderful middle school teacher, and your dedication to making science fun. I miss your shyness of speaking in public and how you blushed until you turned red, so red, whenever you were in the spotlight, but that you so naturally endeared yourself to everyone. I miss your kindness to total strangers, how you'd go out of your way to say hello, particularly to seniors, to make sure that they were okay, to pay them compliments, and even in the later stages of your illness, to approach and say to total strangers that you love them. And the priceless look on some of their faces when you did that. I will really miss your strength to carry on through adversity, and how you taught all of us by doing just that. I will miss your ability to find wonder in all living things, and how you could transfer your wonder and love of all of it to children, really to all of us. But what I will miss the very most of all, my love, was your courage in the face of your illness. And nowhere was that more evident than in the silent stoicism and good humor with which you confronted your disease, even when you were facing certain death. I love you, Sue. I will never say goodbye. Your body has died, but you are not gone. Your love, your goodness will go on living through all of these, through all of those you touched. And you will always be with me with your laughter and your love and your courage. I promise I will always walk splashing through great puddles in a summer downpour like we did last summer. And I will laugh like we did. And I will think of you, and you're brave. I love you, Sue.
Thank you, Tony. They say when a couple gets married, two become one. And I think your words prove that that certainly was true in this case. For this next part, I'd like to ask everybody, please grab your ice cream if you have it handy. And if needed, top off your glass of wine. And we'll get to see a video montage that Susie has prepared, which will last for about 25 minutes. And then we'll wrap this up with a group celebration of Sue. Thanks.
We are vessels. We are rooms. We are so much less important than the things inside of us. We are circuit boards, swallowing the electricity of life upon birth. It wheels through us for all of our days. It creates every moment. The pulse of a story, the soft hums of labor and love. In our last moment, it will come rushing from our chests and be given back to the wind. When we die, we go everywhere. Newton said energy is neither created nor destroyed. Music, wind, music, wind. If you listen to the wind and you don't hear at least 1,000 years of music, then you're not listening hard enough. On average, 1.8 people on Earth die every second. There was always a gust of wind somewhere. Our bodies are nothing more than host to a collection of brilliant things. When someone dies, I do not weep over their Polaroids or belongings. I begin to look for the life that has left them. I feel out the strongest breeze and take off running. We are not created or destroyed. We are constantly transferred, shifted, and renewed. Everything we are is given to us. Death does not come when a body is too exhausted to live. Death comes because the brilliance inside of us can only be contained for so long. We do not die. We pass on the life burning through our throats. When you leave me, I will not cry for you. I will run into the strongest wind I can find and welcome you home.
Maybe I'm amazed at the way you love me all the time. Maybe I'm afraid of the way I love you. Maybe I'm amazed at the way you pulled me out of time and hung me on a line. Maybe I'm amazed at the way I really need you. Maybe I'm a girl, maybe I'm a lonely girl who's in the middle of something that she doesn't really understand.
Andrew, get off the bus now. Come on, Ange. Hi, bud. Say, this is my first day of school and I'm finally home. August 27th, 1991.
doesn't really understand. Maybe I'm a girl, or maybe you're the only man who could ever help me. Baby, won't you help me understand? Maybe I'm amazed at the way you're with me all the time. Maybe I'm afraid of the way I leave you. Maybe I'm amazed at the way you help me sing my song, right me when I'm wrong. Maybe I'm amazed at the way I really need you. Maybe I'm a girl, maybe I'm a lonely girl who's in the middle of something that she doesn't really understand. Maybe I'm a girl, maybe
My mom just called me a dipshit. Mom, tell the camera what you just told me. I said you were a dipshit. Were you videotaping that? My mom just called me a dipshit.
Are you not feeling good, honey? Does it feel better sitting with mommy?
A great big bang and dinosaurs, fiery rain and meteors. It all ends unfortunately, but you're gonna live forever in me. I guarantee. Just wait and see. Parts of me were made by you, and planets keep their distance too. The moon's got a grip on the sea, and you're gonna live forever in me. I guarantee it's your destiny. Life is full of sweet mistakes, and love's an honest one to make. Time leaves no fruit on the tree, but you're gonna live forever in me.
She got a big toe. That's kind of ugly feet.
It's just meant to be.
There you are. Oh, what a riot, Susan. It'll be fun to look at this someday.
I think we laugh more than ever. We're always laughing. That's perfect.
But you're gonna live forever in me. I guarantee. Just wait and see.
For sure. You know, it's great.
goes, and I wouldn't, what do you call it? I would have.
You wouldn't trade it?
Huh?
You wouldn't
yes,
trade
I wouldn't trade it for a peanut.
It's about 5 inches long, maybe 6, as you can see. Yes, and those were rats running in the background. There are other pets in our house. Blue and Matilda. It's cleaning its mandibles. Gotta find a juicy old spider in the basement.
Do you have any hamburger meat?
No, I don't.
Shoot.
Well, I wonder if they're a member of a cricket family, because crickets eat oatmeal. I wonder if it would want water. Bring a little cup of water.
You got it.
Let it go, Dan. Dan! He's on your back.
Wise, if you could tell anybody advice on being happy, what would you say?
Advice for?
For being, in order to be happy.
I would say enjoy the wonderful people around you.
What makes you happy?
For laughter with friends.
Some people live for the fortune. Some people live just for the fame. Some people live for the power. Some people live just to play the game. But some people think that the physical things define what's within, but I've been there before, and that life's somewhere so full of the superficial. Some people want it all, and I don't want nothing at all. If it ain't you, baby, if I ain't got you, babe. Some people want diamond rings, some just want everything, but everything means nothing. I don't know why. I ain't got it.
I'm serious. What do you mean? I don't know.
It's not simple to say, but most days I don't recognize me. That these shoes and this apron, that place and its patrons have taken more than I gave them. It's not easy to know I'm not anything like I used to be, although it's true I was never attention sweet center. I still remember that girl. She's imperfect, but she tries. She is good, but she lies. is hard on herself. She is broken and won't ask for help. She is messy.
Don't you know practical joke when you see one, Tom?
She is. Most of the time, she is all of this mixed up and baked in a beautiful pie. She is gone, but she used to be mine. And it's not what I asked for. Sometimes life just slips in through a back door and carves out a person and makes you believe it's so true. And now I've got you. You're not what I asked for. If I'm honest, I know I would give it all back for a chance to start over and rewrite an ending or two. For the girl that I knew who'd be reckless just enough, who get hurt, but who learns how to toughen up when she's bruised.
Wave to me, guys.
And then she'll get stuck and be scared of the life that's inside her, growing stronger each day, till it finally reminds her to fight just a little, to bring back the fire in her eyes that's been gone but used to be used to be She is messy, but she's kind. She is lonely most of the time. She is all of this mixed up and baked in a beautiful pie. She is gone, but she used to be mine.
It's so important to make someone happy. Make just one someone happy. Make just one heart-to-heart you. You sing to one smile that cheers you, one face that lights when it nears you, one girl you're
our favorite teacher. Say hi, teacher.
Fame, if you win it, comes and goes in a minute. Where's the real stuff in life to cling to? Love is the answer. Someone to love is the answer. Once you found her, build your world around her. Make someone happy. Make just one someone happy, and you will be happy too.
Oh, happy day.
Come here. Come here and stand over here.
When Jesus washed, when Jesus washed, when Jesus washed, when Jesus washed, Jesus washed, when Jesus washed my sins away.
Y'all gonna have to do better than this.
Oh, happy day.
All right, you guys, take your cue from me.
La 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 la. Oh, happy day. Oh, happy day. Happy day. Oh, happy day. When Jesus won. 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 Wash my sins away. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la.
We should take a picture of these guys all saying, what do you guys want to be when you grow up? And we should do them all, okay? I know Miles really likes that, so we're gonna give it to him. Here's some of these. Crack them open, guys. So, Miles, I come home last night. I come home last night and I realized that no one fed this dog for the whole time that I was gone. Yeah, so next time I go away, could you remind my family to feed the dog? Susie! You know what? Someday I'm gonna get her so bad. She is just, you just wait, Susie. Some way, someday, around the corner I'm gonna come and you're gonna be like,
Tell me what you just told me about being happy.
What about it?
You're happy.
I'm happy. I'm happy.
Yeah.
I'm so happy and bright and new. La-di-da-di-do and free
You got a booger.
Sea noises.
And how are you doing?
I'm doing great and I'm happy. long as I can.
Oh, we ain't got a barrel of money. Maybe we're ragged funny, but we'll travel along, singing our song side by side.
Say goodbye, guys. Goodbye.
In my heart, it will remain my stardust melody, the memory of love's refrain.
So thank you again to Susie for putting that together. Why did I volunteer to do the dance? Oh, God. My mom taught us that even in the darkest moments, you still need to find room for joy and happiness. Obviously, we're going through some pretty dark moments now, so we would love to end this with a little bit of a dance-off. In that dance montage, you saw some of my mom's favorite dance moves. She was never scared to look like an absolute fool. And yeah, so I'm going to cue up this song. I encourage all of you guys to switch to gallery view so you can see everybody dancing at the same time. Thank you all for being here. Thank you to my family for collecting so many amazing videos and pictures. And now let's dance.
You can be amazing, you can turn a phrase into a weapon or a drug. You can be the outcast, to be the backlash of somebody's lack of love. Or you can start speaking up. Nothing's gonna hurt you the way the words do when they settle beneath your skin. Kept on the inside.
That was awesome.
Thanks everyone. Please go ahead and switch back to speaker view in the upper right corner if you can. And Tony will have some final words for us.
My flower. Take it down. There's this right there.
That was amazing. Can you all hear me?
Yep.
What a great tribute to Sue's love of dancing and every frozen confection known to humankind. That about brings us to the conclusion of today's celebration. Thank you so much, all of you, for being here today. And we would have loved to congregate and talk with each of you casually for a greater time. And in lieu of that, we're inviting you to send us a message in the message box, chat box that's indicated below. And also, we want you to know that the entirety of this memorial has been recorded and will be available shortly for repeat viewing. A couple of closing notes. Please consider submitting photos, a brief video, or other tribute of any kind so that we can store all of them for everyone to see in Sue's online memorial archive. If you check your email and or the Evite, you'll see instructions for how you can upload. In closing, we ask each of you and all those who watch this memorial to do something special in honor of Sue's life. One day, as you think of Sue and the kindness that she showed to everyone, we ask that you do a random act of kindness for a total stranger, helping to ensure that, like ripples in a pond, Sue's love will continue to live on as many of those strangers pay it forward to others. Thank you again for coming today. We wish all of you love, health, and kindness to one another.
I've been hearing symphonies. Before all I heard was silence. A rhapsody for you and me. And every melody is timeless. Life was stringing me along. Then you came and you cut me loose. Was solo singing on my own. Now I can't find a key without you. And now your song is on repeat. And I'm dancing on to your heartbeat. And when you're gone, I feel incomplete. So if you want the truth, I just wanna be part of your symphony. We hold me tight and not let go. Symphony.
Look into your eyes, do you see me? Staring into space, you lost yourself. The rain is falling through, and there's nothing I can do but just cry all over you. And why you play our favorite song.